Hey guys, this is Omer from MMOs.com. I'm doing another quick weekly news recap of all major MMO news and announcements for the week ending October 19th, 2015. This is episode 13 of the recap, and the first bit of news, and arguably the most exciting, is that Blizzard announced their closed beta for their upcoming arena-based shooter, Overwatch. The game's closed beta is set to begin October 27th in North America, with no beta date yet for European and Asian users. The goal of this closed beta is 100% gameplay feedback related, and it will be done apparently on a small scale, so the odds of getting in are apparently slim. But if you haven't signed up for the beta yet, you still can, so there's still a chance to get in. You can use the Battle.net launcher to do so. And Overwatch will be the first new Blizzard franchise in a long time, and it does look pretty promising. No firm release date yet, all we have is the closed beta date, so it still might be a while before the game actually comes out. But I am looking forward to trying it. Next up, some odd news from Overkill, the developers of Payday 2, the shooter. The game recently added microtransactions with the introduction of a lockbox that contains skins, which provides stat boosts, so yes, some pay-to-win elements. They also changed the game's files around, removing all mod support to encourage players to purchase skins and other goodies from the game's cash shop. Now, what makes this a real story, and it's kind of a big screw-up for them, is that back in 2013, the game's developer, again, Overkill, they made a promise to everyone saying that basically, Payday 2 will never have microtransactions whatsoever. And it looks like they did a complete 180 on that promise. What makes this issue even worse now is that the game's moderators are censoring anyone that's showing their outrage on the forums, on the Steam forums that is. And given the game that has microtransactions now, it may go free to play later, which might be a bit of a silver lining, but they never should have broken their promise to players, especially considering the game sold really well, and the developer had a lot of goodwill and respect from players, so this is a really stupid move from them to just add microtransactions now after promising they won't do it. Next I have a bit of news about Dungeon Defenders 2. Apparently, the game is free to play now on Steam. Funny little story, my brother actually bought the game for me, himself and a friend, so we paid $15 each, but like the game went free to play like a week afterwards, so we kind of got boned on that one. But the game is now free to play by Trendy Entertainment. It's a sequel to the first Dungeon Defenders game, co-op tower defense game, which is actually pretty solid. Now the game itself isn't actually released yet, they're calling it an open alpha. I mean, it used to be called open beta, but I guess now they're going with open alpha because it gives them more wiggle room when they have, when they make mistakes and bugs. It just, these developers keep using silly new names to protect themselves. Next up, a small bit of news about ELOA, Elite Lord of Alliance. The game's first round of initial beta testing has begun on the 13th, and there's a level cap of 25 for the beta. And despite the beta being open to basically everyone, it's not a traditional open beta because there will be a wipe at the end. Plus, there's a level cap of only 25 in this round of beta testing. Currently, the round of beta testing is estimated to last about a week, so that should actually end about tomorrow, considering it's starting the 13th. And hopefully, we'll find out more about when the actual release date will be. Up next, a bit of news about a game that most people don't care about or probably never heard of or probably never played. Conqueror Online 3.0 Kingdom War launches. I should have prefaced that with a game that nobody's ever heard of because people do play it. The game's actually got a pretty large player base globally, just not too many more recently because a lot of people have already quit the game considering it's quite old now. But Conqueror Online's 3.0 update Kingdom War is officially live as of Thursday the 15th. The update will include something called Kingdom Wars. It's in the name of the expansion, so it's kind of a big deal. And the way it works is Kingdom Wars is a global PvP event that revolves around players coming together to fight for control of guilds, unions, and kingdoms. The strongest union will eventually become the ruling party of that server, creating an independent kingdom. So a group of players become the leader of the kingdom, and basically servers can fight against each other too. So you can see who the best server is in the world. And it's supposed to be global, so I suspect it will allow basically the Western servers and the Chinese servers to play against each other too. That'd be kind of cool. Up next, a bit of news from Nexon regarding MapleStory, and not the PC version of MapleStory that we're used to, but rather a game called Pocket MapleStory, which is the mobile version of the game. Do keep in mind the mobile and the desktop version of the games are on separate servers and are entirely different games. The news is basically that Pocket MapleStory soft launches in 5 countries, so it's available right now in Australia, Denmark, Finland, Norway, and Sweden, with a worldwide launch planned later in the future. Now do keep in mind, even though the game aims to be similar to the desktop version, it's only going to launch with 3 playable classes, the Dual Blade, Angelic Buster, and the Demon Slayer. Considering the desktop version has so many classes and the mobile version does not, it's a bit of a disappointment, but they'll be adding more and more as the game progresses, obviously. And despite what people say, MapleStory is hardcore, guys. I grew up, that was one of my favorite free-to-play games back in the day, alright? It's a solid game. No matter what you say, guys, I'm going to defend MapleStory. Moving right along, a bit of news from COG Games, the guys behind Elsword. The news is that they're bringing a brand new game to the West called HeroWarz. That's HeroWarz with a Z for some reason. They're trying to be cool. Anyway, the game is an isometric action MMORPG created by one of the producers of Dungeon Fighter Online and Cyphers. Gameplay-wise, the game looks a bit like Dragon Nest, at least the art style, and actually more like Closers Online, a game that's only available in Korea right now, but it does look kind of like Closers. And the game is set to launch early next year. Up next, some serious news from Black Desert Online regarding the game's business model in the West. Dom Games, the company behind Black Desert, said that the Western release for the game will actually be buy-to-play, and that comes as a surprise considering the The Korean, the Japanese, and the Russian versions are all free to play. And in fact, because they announced the Western version will be buy to play, they forced the Russian publisher to implement an IP block. So if you're in the West, you can't even play on the Russian server for free anymore unless you run a VPN, which is not that hard. So if you don't want to pay for the game and you want to play on the Russian version, you can check out the guide we have on MMOs.com. But I am not a fan of the fact that they made the game buy to play. I voiced my concern on that column, which I'll probably talk about more in the podcast tomorrow. In other Black Desert news too, the game has an official release date for the West. Not a release date, but an early 2016 date. So we have an approximation for now when the game will actually come out. Next up, some very cool news from Guild Wars 2. ArenaNet and ESL announced earlier this week that they're setting up a $400,000 Guild Wars 2 Pro League. So yes, they are finally entering the esports arena. There'll be 2 seasons of league tournaments that'll be open to anyone that's age 16 and higher, with first season open qualifiers beginning in November. The end of the season is currently slated to culminate in the season finals LAN event over at ESL Studios. The $400,000 Pro League is intended to replace the World Tournament Series moving forward, and it's really cool because not many MMORPGs have an esports scene. It's usually games like Counter-Strike, Dota, League, and stuff that has an esports scene, so it's cool to see more MMORPGs getting into the scene as well. It sounds really awesome, and I hope ArenaNet does really well with it because, I mean, seeing more esports and MMORPGs is definitely interesting. Moving right along, we have some pretty big news from Tree of Savior, arguably bigger news than Overwatch. The game's second closed beta schedule is officially announced, and the game's second round of closed beta testing will begin on October 27th and last till November 25th, 2015. And this time, guys, the beta is open to everybody. There's no limit on the number of keys distributed, so basically, anyone that registers for the beta between October 16th and 19th will get it. So because today is the 19th, definitely register by today if you want to be able to get into the Tree of Savior closed beta. So today is the last day to register to guarantee a spot. But yeah, I'm pretty excited myself. I mean, all roads do lead to Ragnarok Online, as we've said on the podcast many times. And again, it begins October 27th. Expect a video from me right around then. Up next, a bit of disappointing news from Bandai Namco regarding Rise of Incarnates. The game is set to shut down in December. If you don't remember the game, it's a 2v2 fighting game that actually we did a Sunday Funday video for quite a while ago. The game is shutting down for no explicit reason, probably because it didn't really garner a big player base. One of the reasons for the game shutdown, I would speculate, is that they basically just did not release Gundam Versus. Rise of Incarnates is Gundam Versus, which is a reskinned version of it, designed for the Western market. Had they just released Gundam Versus, I think the game would have done better. I mean, it really could have done much worse. It averaged a little bit less than 100 players in the last 6 months concurrently at any given time. But yeah, the game is shutting down on December 15th, 2015 for good. And boosh, next up, Devilian's closed beta starts October 22nd. Trion Worlds describes the game as a fiendish new breed of action role-playing game, which sounds very hypey, considering the game isn't really that new. It's been out in Korea for some time already, but you can't blame them for trying to build up the hype. The first round of closed beta testing begins on October 22nd and will run through October 26th. Anyone with alpha access already will be able to continue playing throughout the beta. If you don't have a key, you can try getting one from Trion over on Facebook and Twitter. They've been trying to give them away slowly over there, so that's probably the best way to get one right now, unless you're willing to purchase a Founders Pack or something. The next and last bit of news this week, guys, is that Trove from Trion Worlds finally releases a Mac client. It's not surprising they finally did release one. I figure most really popular games eventually do get a Mac client. Since the game's release, a staggering 3.3 million players have entered the game's world. That's not really a concurrent number, just who has entered overall, but the game does really well on Steam with over 17,000 peak concurrent users recently, so that is really impressive. Trion also released some other fun stats about the game. Players have already created over 160 dungeons, over 4,000 equipment styles, and 451,000 club worlds. The Mac client works exclusively on OS X Mountain Lion only, so if you don't have that, I think you'll be out of luck. But anyway, guys, that's it for the weekly news recap. I'll see you guys tomorrow for the podcast. Anyway, guys, later.